I'm Elwirfy, and today we're going to do another one of those reaction style videos because I uh, I don't agree with this video, and it's coming from IGN. So okay, it's kind of hard to explain without letting them talk for a little bit first. So let's just get into it. Um, Again, fully reaction. I claim no copyright, just to be super clear.
Planet Valaka, the mobile infantry ready to engage against the bug menace.
If you are a hardcore Starship Troopers fan, chances are I've already served with you on the front lines of Valaka in the early days of Starship Troopers Extermination's early access launch. For those of us who know who Casper Van Dien is, the long grind, very limited objectives and mission types, and old school shooting were never going to deter us from doing our part.
Okay, he's already criticizing the game without really explaining what the game is about. I understand that Starship Troopers is meant to kind of be self-explanatory, and as you've seen on my channel, I've already been playing Starship Troopers a good bit. I've been enjoying it. I went ahead and done a bunch of offline games, so I've played a lot more than what you guys have seen me record. I'm actually planning eventually maybe to do a big live stream of Starship Troopers as well. There's a lot to expect. It is in early access, so do bear that in mind, and I can tell you there are problems with it. But the way he describes the game, I feel, doesn't really shine it in the light that it deserves. So that's kind of what we're going to be going over here. I don't disagree with everything that he says. This guy, I don't know how long he's played the game for. They never show his loadout. But I don't know. It just something fell off.
Because working together as a team to blast enormous waves of bugs while building a base and then hightailing it to safety has a powerful draw. But for those who don't, there may not be much reason to drop in just yet.
Okay, so he described the game essentially as, when he's not wrong about this actually, he's described the game as a base building co-op shooter. That's essentially what it is, right? That's all it really ought to be. And hey, he makes a good point. If you don't like that style of gameplay, you don't have to play the game. But I feel like this review, again, that's why I'm even bothering to react to this, I feel like this review, personally for me anyway, is trying to discourage people who like that style of game. Because personally for me, and again, I know, my own opinion, whatever, I think it's a really good game, and I've been waiting for a co-op shooter that's this immersive and good. Starship Troopers being a great theme. Love the theme. Obviously, I like Starship Troopers. Not like a diehard fan, but I love it. I think it's great. But even beyond that, I've been waiting for games to do something like this in the FPS space.
Decades after the events of Paul Verhoeven's cult sci-fi classic Starship Troopers, the Arachnid threat still looms large and threatens the safety of humankind every minute of every day. Want to know more? Well, Extermination doesn't have much more story to tell than that, but it can at least answer the question, what would it be like if you and 15 of your peers were dropped directly into the chaos? Though the answer is at best inconclusive, the base building mechanics do add an interesting tower defense style angle to its fun but otherwise straightforward running and gunning.
Yeah, so that pretty much does sum it up. The base building is actually really solid. I think it's gotten a lot of good work done to it. I'm sure there's improvements on the way, but from what I played in the early access, I found it to be acceptable. I will admit there is some tedious parts. I wish we had a little more customization with maybe like each player could have a certain set of buildings they can build, so that way it's more reliant on the team, like having every member of the team build buildings versus having a pool of buildings to build, and then anyone can build from that pool, but then once you're out, you're out. But that's just kind of my personal take on it. The way that it's put in the game is perfectly fine. And in terms of regular running and gunning, I actually do find this game to be a lot more about standing still and shooting than running and gunning. It's not Call of Duty, right? I feel that part of the reason I like this game is that I feel like there's a genuine reason to try and coordinate your fire and at the very least work with your team to make your own individual FPS skills shine.
I think maybe the biggest letdown out of the gate for Extermination is that even though it very much looks like the 1997 movie, it lacks any satirical substance. There are plenty of references to the movie, from the soldiers' kits to the news bulletins that blare in front of every new round to the soundtrack, but all resemblance is mostly skin deep. One could argue that the old school shooter feel and the mandatory friendly fire could be seen as an attempt at satire, but that seems like a stretch.
Yeah, it's probably not meant to be satire. In fact, I would consider this game to be, if anything, kind of more of a lighthearted take on Starship Troopers. Definitely because this game is very community based. It's co-op, right? It's not like It's not like it's solo where you're telling a story and you're like, oh, cool, right? We're here to enjoy the story or play a campaign, right? We're like, oh, you really want to get the themes in. No, I'll be honest. This game is really about just having fun with your buds and shooting some bugs. That's pretty much all it is. And you get to do some tower defense along the way. I think that's really what I think the appeal is, and the reason why people like this kind of an FPS shooter. So, I don't know. I think it's a little irresponsible to say that it's kind of bland, or the way he's describing it just makes it seem like it's not very exceptional. Which, for this day and age, in a day where it's mostly just competitive FPS or single player campaigns, having a nice co op shooter of this high quality, for me at least, is really, really hard to come by and really valuable. And I don't think it should be overlooked.
It's an ugly planet! A bug planet! A planet hostile to life!
Without any story to speak of, you are literally just showing up to shoot bugs over and over again, with no attempt to subvert the head-empty grind inherent in these sorts of team shooters, in the way the movie did for war films. This is likely fine for superfans of the Starship Troopers series, but for a brand so associated with holding genre cliches up as a mirror for critique, it feels like a glaring missed opportunity.
Okay, but not every game has to be making a point. This kind of goes into something, a topic I wanted to talk about in another video, but I guess I'll sprinkle it in here. You can make something and not have it have a point, right? Like, part of the fun of art, at least for me, has always been that, especially as someone who has a writing degree, I've always found that what's fun about stories is that the author can make a story about whatever they want, and you don't always have to get the point. Clearly, this guy isn't getting the point. The point of the game isn't to be satirical or make a point about fascism or communism or whatever ism, whatever, It's about having a good game and having a game that people enjoy and want to play. And of all the games or genres, I should say, all the themes or ideas or stories that a co-op shooter would be good in with base building elements, I can't think of another IP off the top of my head. Maybe, 40K, maybe there's Star Wars, Aliens, there might be another one, but I personally think there's nothing like the teamwork that you get out of playing Starship Troopers in co-op. I honestly think that's a great theme choice, even if it's maybe not meant to shake the walls of society.
There are two mission types available at the early access launch. The first is Attack and Secure, which gives your squad a faster, more mobile set of objectives where you must take and hold various points at different parts of the map. I found these to be lighter, quicker battles, but also prone to bizarre bugs, apart from the kind trying to kill you. For instance, a common objective is to activate and guard ore refineries that produce a tank you then have to escort back to base every 30 seconds. Any one processor can do this a handful of times before needing to cool down for a few minutes. That's not a problem if you have multiple processors active at once, but frequently I would find the entire team standing around one refinery twiddling our thumbs because it's the only one that spawned. The saying is, do you want to live forever? Not do you want to wait forever?
Do you guys think this is a bug or a feature that they only gave us one refinery for this section? It happens every time. What do you guys think?
I'd call it a feature.
The second mission type, Arc, keeps the primary objective in one place while you refine resources from around the map to keep it powered.
Okay, I want to stop it after you explain the first one and start on the second one intentionally. So, I'm sorry that he encountered that bug. I personally never ran into that bug where there was only one refinery. I've always had two refineries in my games of the first game mode that he mentioned. So that really sucks. And I'm sorry you had a bad experience with that, dude. But I would say, I would think that you as a reviewer would understand that since this is early access, we need to understand what the value is as of right now as you review it. And understand that with early access, we're going to have bugs where things happen like that. But I think that the quality itself of the game, the experience of the game overall is like, so you had this bug happen, right? How many games did you play? Because I've played enough to get one character almost maxed out and another character about halfway. And you guys will see that if you watch my videos and stuff. And again, gonna do a live stream on that. You'll see how far I've gotten in my off time. For now, just trust me. But I've played plenty of games. Let me tell you, it's never been a bug I've run into, and at the very least, even if you are just standing around, if you just walk out on the map and you spread your team out and you could start building, you could, I don't know, there's objectives that pop up. It's hard to describe, like if you haven't played the game, but objectives will appear periodically that you can send groups out to go do, while some people wait for the extraction. So not everyone's doing the same exact task. So again, sorry you had that bug, but I'm telling you right now, I didn't. So I'm sorry. I guess I can't comment on that. If any of you have had that bug, please let me know. But I've actually never heard of anyone having that issue. Of all the people I've played games with, no one's ever complained offhandedly about it. You know.
It requires much more coordination, and you engage with both the combat and building mechanics far more frequently. That said, it's locked behind an account level that took me around an hour and a half of game time to grind to unlock, which seems like way too much for what amounts to half of the content available. Both available.
Okay, they've implemented a leveling system. Did it take me about an hour and a half to get to the second one? Yes. But understand that the first one is meant to get you into the experience. You got to get used to the controls. You got to get used to the shooting. Got to get used to the team elements. There's a lot of stuff to get used to when you start out an FPS game. And honestly, it's progression. I mean, like, you're complaining about progression. I mean, we have so many games nowadays that are pay to win, and so many games where you can just buy loot boxes or buy random chance, or even with new Madden games, right, where those come out and you can pay for exclusive things. There's not really as many games, at least from what I've played, where progression is really like part of the experience. For me, I didn't mind playing this single game mode because it means that also people who are also all new to the game are getting kind of the same experience. So we're all kind of going through the game together. So I didn't mind. And honestly, I mean, shoot, even in Call of Duty games, you got to play like there's more grinding in Call of Duty than in this game, right? In this game, to be honest, granted, not everything is like the XP could be faster, but in terms of getting your player level up to the requirement, which is level 5 as of right now at the time of recording this, an hour and a half, that's not really that long. It really isn't, compared to how many hours I've been able to sink into the game and have met awesome, great. I'm just saying, hour and a half, I don't think is too long for me. Maybe for you. Maybe you don't play enough games, dude. Hour and a half isn't that long to get what, to unlock one more mode. I don't know.
Mission types end with your team protecting an asset from egregiously bland waves of bug invaders by building a base around it.
Okay. The bugs in Starship Troopers were never that exciting. I'll be honest about that. The theming, you got to understand, in terms of what's most important in an early access, remember, early access game, right? Not full game. In an early access game, the fact that they have the bugs, so instead, they could have done just warrior bugs, right? Because those were the main thing in all the movies and in the book and the older video games and stuff. Those were the main things. They easily, very easily, could have made a game with just the warrior bugs, and I bet you people would still be enjoying the game. There's a mod right now in Squad called Starship Troopers where they have essentially mostly just warrior bugs. They do admittedly have the flying bugs and they have the big tanky bugs and stuff. But in this game, right, in the extermination game mode, they have these guys called gunner bugs where they like spit at you with like poison or something. I'm not really too sure what it is. They have these grenadier guys who like lob like artillery strikes on you and stuff. Like, there's variety there. There isn't just warrior bugs. Now, warrior bugs are the majority. They even have these little like mini baby warrior bugs that are kind of cool. So that way even the classes who maybe don't do as much damage can still get some cool kills and help out the team. Plus, they're really hard to spot sometimes. So I don't know. There's variety. I guess my point is there's variety. I don't know what he's talking about, saying that they're all bland. They're not all bland at all. At least in my opinion. I don't find it to be that bland. Plus, they're trying to be faithful to the movie. Like, there was never tons of variety. There is variety that's missing here in the game, absolutely. I'm not saying there isn't. Just saying it's not like there's one enemy.
There are 5 types of bugs so far, but 3 of them are effectively just the same type of melee warrior as far as how you deal with them. The gunner and grenadier are relatively uncommon and shake the formula up a bit though, as their long-distance threats are always priorities on the field.
Okay, so if you're gonna say that, you say your first comment was like, oh, there's not much variety. They're all really cookie cutter bland. But then you still acknowledge that there's multiple types and that you do have to vary your strategy. And personally, I've had some games where like 4 gunner bugs will spawn at once, or you'll get like 2 big massive like tanker bugs, or you'll get a grenadier and then the gunner guys are backing them up. Like, I guess my point is there's enough variety in there and enough of a challenge in there based on, again, your difficulty, right? Change how much variety of enemies you might see. I don't know. I was happy with it for an early access game that's only $25. It's pretty good. I mean, you look at the quality of some AAA games, they can't even produce stuff like this. I'm just saying.
Besides the same menu of bugs, both mission types also share most of the same limited amount of sub-objectives, meaning you'll be doing the same things largely in the same way in either mode. I preferred attack and secure mode largely because of this. Any added tactical element that Arc mode brings only serves to expose how shallow the list of things to do during any given moment in extermination is. The base building systems are very...
Okay, so there are only 2 modes. The first mode is essentially you do a couple small objectives and then you defend a base. The other mode is you start out at a base and then you go out and do objectives until you can build and defend the base. I'll admit, very low variety. We do need more missions in the game. There's a very good looking roadmap, but again, of course, as I always say, you know, I tend to not be a proponent of pre-ordering games, but this one just seemed, for me at least, you know, I got excited. I'll admit, I got excited about it. But there is tactical strategy that you can find here, at least in the groups I've played. Maybe you didn't get good experiences, you know, but for my experience at least, I thought that it was I've had games where people were very good about, okay, this squad you're going to be the base building team. This squad you're going to do the extract one of these power plant, right, or the gas geysers. Another team's going to do the other gas geyser. Oh, fourth squad, you'll maybe go out and do the generators to repair those to get rocket launchers for the team, because that's a really cool thing you can do. And because there's like in game, like you can get rocket launchers, right, and you can't like put them on your class. You have to get them by doing certain objectives, or you might assign your team to be like, hey, guys, there's a horde of bugs coming that's going to make it harder for everyone for the rest of the mission unless you go eliminate them. So there's tasks. I'm just saying there's other stuff to do. If all you chose to do in your gameplay was just sit by the canisters and not even... like even when you like every time for every gas canister that you try and get, a wave of bugs will come up around you and try and kill you. I mean, you're constantly doing things. I don't know why he makes it seem like there's no variety. I don't know. Again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I felt personally when I was playing there was enough variety to at least make me stay and play. Like if I didn't like the game, I just wouldn't play it. I'll be honest.
Very simple, and constructing things like walls, bunkers, and gun turrets is as easy as dropping a template and fabricating the piece with your repair tool. The intuitiveness is good because when bugs start tearing through your defenses, there's very little room to fumble around while repairing or rebuilding them. You will need to coordinate with your team on how to lay out your base though, because anything you place can be altered or destroyed by anyone else. Once the Ark finishes its business or is destroyed before it can, there's a frantic sprint towards an extraction point, during which self-respawning is disabled and the bugs start multiplying in greater numbers. These escape dashes always felt appropriately desperate and dangerous, and the tension is high every time, even if the reward for successful extraction is just more meta progression points than if you were killed in action.
Yeah, the extraction is really fun. I'm not going to disagree with anything he said. The extraction was honestly is the best part of the game right now for me. Which is the smallest part of the game, I'll admit, but it is so fun for me. I really enjoy it. And I really like the desperation that comes out of the extraction where you can't respawn anymore. You got to run with your crew, you know. You got guys who are setting up like defensive stuff to like cover the rest of your buddies as you're trying to run up the hill. And then you got people throwing down ammo turrets and lobbing grenades over. And then people running out in desperate sprints to go pick up the guys who did get caught by the bugs. There's just a lot of cool stuff. I don't know. I really love the escape part of the game. Genuinely a good part of the game. I agree with him on that.
Dying while fighting the good fight is an incredibly easy thing to do in extermination. Your weapons are adequate at killing bugs, but even teams of 16 players can find themselves overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the bug menace. This makes the operator class the most valuable of the 3 available in early access.
Oh, hold on. He showed me how much he played. I thought I missed it when I was going over the video beforehand. Let me see how much he played.
This makes the operator class the most valuable.
He got to level 5 with the Hunter and level 5 with the Bastion. All right. To be super clear about how the game works, and if this is totally honest criticism, the operator is the best class in the game. Hands down, it's the best. That's the one I got up to the first level. That's when I played first. It genuinely has more utility than the other 2 classes, and there is serious balancing issues that need to be done. The Hunter is genuinely not a good class because all it does is fly, and it doesn't even fly that much. It's not that good. I'll admit I haven't played the Hunter class, but I can tell from what everyone said, from watching other people play in my games, it is not a good class, and it is not as valuable to the team as the Bastion or the Operator. The Bastion is cool. That's what I'm working on right now. He gets to set up a turret, but man, is he a pain in the ass to control when you're moving around. You got to have really good control over your mouse. Got to update your sensitivity to make it a little easier to aim with the weapon. So genuinely, I think the Operator is the best class. But if you look at what he played, he's played the Hunter and the Bastion more than the Operator. And I'm telling you right now, if your first experience of this game was playing as the Hunter or the Bastion, I genuinely do think you'd have a worse experience of the game than if you played as the Operator first. That's my opinion. And, kudos to anyone. Good job if you still enjoyed the game playing those other two classes. Not saying it's bad if you enjoyed it. But I honestly do think that you would have a genuinely worse experience because the Hunter and Bastion do less things than the Operator can do. So there's less variety in your gameplay as you level up. So your experience and your lens of looking through the game might not be as good. And this is a genuine criticism I do have with the game. I do think that the classes need to have more to do. They need to be more unique and be more valuable. And they got to add a cameraman class. I mean, why wouldn't you do that, right?
Valuable of the 3 available in early access, as healing comes at a premium, and trying to get fallen soldiers back on their feet after falling without their clutch revival drone is a risk often not worth taking. The other 2 classes, Hunter and Bastion, have unique features in their jetpack and deployable mobile fortifications respectively, but they don't have the same obvious value as the healer. Besides which, their offensive capabilities don't differentiate themselves with one another until you're a ways down their tech trees, which locks away their unique weapons and passive perks behind XP gates. After roughly 15 hours of playtime, I'm around tier 6 with the Hunter and Operator classes, which means I have one other primary and secondary weapon option, a perk to equip, and additional gear like thermal mines on top of your standard grenades. My Bastion is tier 11 and is starting to come into its own as a class that can support itself by laying down gates that stun enemies, or pack a uniquely large punch with a nuclear det pack. Classes max out at tier 20, so you'll have your work cut out for you if you want to unlock everything. With so many bugs and players on screen at once across the giant map, Extermination runs with remarkable stability. It's not glitch-free. I've been stuck on my fair share of terrain, but the only major bugs I encountered on a regular basis were the giant explodey variety.
Yeah, so there are bugs in the game, of course, and remember, as of me reviewing this game, this review is 12 days old. I can tell you right now, obviously they didn't have access to it at the time, but most bugs have been fixed. Most of these issues have been taken care of. That's not a criticism of the video. I'm just letting you guys know. That's been updated. Most of the lagging, at least on my computer that I'm running, it's running pretty good. I'm actually having a really good time with that. So they didn't have access to that. I'm not criticizing them that. I will point out that he is right. There is a low weapon variety. We do need more variety in the game, and the game does have some issues with being able to keep players engaged. But I'll tell you, I think that it depends on the quality of your teammates also. Because I'll admit, just like any multiplayer game, if you have teammates who don't want to do the team objective and don't want to do what's best for the team and only care about getting the kills for themselves, right? Then you might have a worse experience. And that's cool. He got his class up to tier 11, right? That's awesome. He didn't show that. Obviously, I didn't get to see that. But that's cool that he got up to tier 11 with the Bastion. I hope that in doing so, he was a good experience. But I feel like, again, you got to play all the classes. I don't know, or at least try them. And I'll admit, I have not tried the Hunter out myself because I'm trying to work on one class at a time. But when I saw this video, like when it initially came out, I felt like I really had to talk about it. And I don't know, I feels like he didn't give the game a chance. I guess that's kind of why I felt like I had to put my heart into this and really talk about it.
The menus in the lobby are a bit more frustrating though. Your loadouts and gameplay settings reset every time you
That's a bug.
Exit or restart. So you'll need to re-equip your weapons and perks and readjust your mouse sensitivity and sound options at the beginning of every session. This is very annoying.
Yeah, so that's been fixed. Just to be super clear, that's been fixed. I did not have that issue also, but other people did, and I'm aware of it. But again, it's been fixed, so you can ignore that part.
Starship Troopers Extermination's early access version is pretty light on content, but already does a decent job of pitting a large group of Marines against an overwhelming force of alien bugs. And building fortifications gives you something to coordinate on as you hold out long enough for a thrilling extraction. That said, My recommendation to those who would need to be convinced to drop their current forever game and enlist is to wait and see how early access comes along over the next year. The building mechanics are solid and add a new dimension to the co-op squad shooter genre, but you'll exhaust most of that novelty quickly and then have to grind out your new class abilities repeating the same missions dozens of times. With some time, Extermination could become the premier bug-stomping romp for big teams, but in its current early state, mobile infantry can do the dying without.
It's not a 6. It's not a 6. Okay. Is it a 10? No. Is it a 9? No. I would give it maybe a 7.5. It's not as bad as he's portraying it. Is it good? It's not perfect, right? Obviously, I'm not saying that. It is in early access. There are issues. But he missed one of the most... And I hope you're here watching this video. Please, if you're at this point in the video, say, 7.5, right? Or whatever. He missed the most critical part of the game. The missions, yes, they're the same, but the maps change so much, and that affects the base building. It affects the tactics for going around the map. It affects where the random enemies spawn. The game mode itself, yes, is the same and does need to be adding more features, but oh my goodness, guys. The variety of just the experience of seeing the different parts of the map, because the map is so big. Like, there was one mission, right, where there was a refinery at the top of this hill, and our base was at the bottom. So every time we had to go get a gas canister, we had to hike our asses up. But then, obviously, we'd get swarmed on the way, right? So we have to, defend each other in the valley. We'd have some guys on the top of the hill shooting down, and other guys on top of, this bridge that was covering the valley. And it was super cool and dynamic how, the squads would coordinate. Ton of fun. But there's another mission, right, where, you have to go inside of, a tunnel, right? And so it's really cramped quarters. The bugs are really close by. You really had to use those bastions to get those defensive walls up. And, implement different tactics. I'm just saying, there's some good stuff. Or, bases where some maps, the hunters will actually be useful because they can go up on these big walls that'll help defend the base. And so they can get some really good shots on those high-value priority targets that maybe the guys on the ground can't really deal with because they're too far away. He's underselling it unnecessarily. There are problems, and there are balance issues, and they're working on them. And I've actually enjoyed playing through those changes as they come out. But, man, I don't want people to be discouraged from playing this game. It's a really good game. And a lot of games nowadays, I feel like they always fall to the wayside, or they become a niche, or they aren't, I don't know, as enjoyed as much. So I hope this is at least a convincing enough proposition to let you know $25 is totally worth it. And plus, if we look at the comments, check it out. We're going to actually move things. The community, right here. I love this comment. The community absolutely sells the game. It's wonderful. Everyone that people are saying is that everything is fixed, and things are good. That's why you got to be really careful when you do these reviews. And I'll admit, this review itself will probably be outdated, but I'm telling you guys, that it's so enjoyable. Look at how the community points out is how things are fixed constantly, and that shows that the community really does care. I'm just telling you, this is really, really, really disappointing to see videos like this where they try and portray a game as being worse than it is. And I understand if some of those lower numbers come from those bugs that were happening at the time, but honestly, guys, bugs that happen at launch typically get fixed. So try not to judge a game too much on the actual bugs, but I will say there is things that are needed. I mean, I'm not giving it perfect score, right? It still definitely needs more weapon variety. We need classes to be more fleshed out. We do need more bug variety. There's bugs that are missing. It'd be cool if we had a second map or a second planet to go on. That'd be really cool. It'd be cool if we had, I guess this kind of ties into it, but we need more weapons. Definitely need more game modes. I'll agree with that. So that's, again, why I'd personally give it a 7.5 game as of right now. But this, I don't know. When I heard this video, guys, and I saw this video, it felt super... He didn't... I know it wasn't a negative score, but the way that he talked about it felt like it was making it out to be more negative than it should be. So that's why I'm saying, if you guys like Starship Troopers, if you guys want a good co-op FPS where the community uses in-game mics... I haven't even mentioned that. The community uses their in-game mics and actually coordinates and actually strategizes. At least as of right now. It's super great. Because if you don't, you're just fucked. So, you don't have a choice. So, go play the game. You know what? Hit the subscribe button. Go watch my other Starship Trooper videos of my experience playing through it. And more content is obviously going to be on the way. This game's awesome. So I got to get you guys into it, and I hope you guys are just as excited to play. You can come join me on the battlefield next time we game. So again, thank you all for watching. I had a ton of fun making this video, as well as all the other videos that are on my channel. Be sure to watch all the videos, like, comment, subscribe, all that good fun jazz. And as always, I'm Elwirfy, and I'll see you all next time. Take care, everyone.